Okay, so let's lay down a ROP network. Okay, I'm actually going to change this color to this. Then here, I'm gonna leave it like, yeah, call it just ROP. I'm gonna dive in here and just put subnet, dive in there. And put a geometry node, sorry. And now we're going to go back up, right click on the subnet and go create digital asset. So now I'm gonna want to save this one inside my training directory. So let's go back up here. Houdini OTLs. I just want to make sure I'm it correct. Wait, yes. So run sim.otl. Okay, operator name. I'm gonna do multi sim 1.0 and then no, not multi-sim, multi-container, maybe. Sim, and then multi-container sim. And we don't need any input, any output. We define the file to save. So, oh yeah, just this. That's just a namespace, okay? The column, and it tells me what version of the OTL I'm using. So I could just update later on my OTL and versioning up just by changing the number here at the end. It's not something that's going to be displayed definitely in here unless you really set Houdini to show it for you. So yeah, I'm not going to change the icon right now because I don't have any icons for that. Okay, so I'm going to leave the default one because, oh, you know what? Let's just find an icon. Okay, so I just grabbed the first image I found. So nothing special. So let's just go here. And I'm going to go to OTLs. Okay, so we're not seeing it right here. We will see it later. One thing I'm going to do as well, I'm going to go to tools and icon. I'm going to add it. Hold on, context. I'm going to change this first. So the tools context, I'm not going to leave digital asset because I don't want it when I press tab to being here in digital asset. I want to create my own menu. Okay, so I'm going to create like let's call this, for example, Paro tools. Apply. So now if I do it tab, I have here now a menu, Paro tools, and we have here, see, our new to OTL. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like, and we're going to do a couple of things. So first we're going to go to scripts. No, sorry about that. Parameters. So I don't want to keep the default bottoms here because they're locked. Okay, I can't unlock them, so I'm gonna hide those. So I'm gonna add the first bottom. It's gonna be a render bottom. So let's call this one render. Now I'm gonna add a frame range. So I'm gonna go with an integer vector 2. Okay. So I'm gonna call this range and frame range. I'm gonna go to channels and I'm gonna put here as defaults, because when you click on channels, those are the defaults. Okay, we're gonna have when we create the node. So this is gonna be $rf start, and the second one is gonna be $rf end. And range, I'm not changing it. I'm good with that. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna create it manually here. I'm gonna do even better than that. I'm going to delete this. I'm gonna click on the icon here, turn off prefixing parameters. I don't like prefixes. Okay, I'm gonna dive in here and I'm gonna switch this to any range, and I'm gonna just drag and drop these. Okay, so subpath and output file, and I'm gonna turn this one on, and that's all we need from down here. So I'm gonna just click apply. So now we'll see everything is linked. If I go back up, we have already those parameters set here. Okay, cool. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a folder and I'm gonna rename this options. I'm gonna press apply. We see we have that new folder down here, and in here I'm gonna put 3 extra parameters. So first one, I'm gonna call it max. Second one, so this one, current, so that's going to be the value for the current sim. Okay, an emitter. And then a last one here, it's going to be, let me plug it back in. I'm going to call it from, and that's what's going to be the first emitter we're going to take. So let's say you're going to run like for 4 sims, and if fifth one crashes, so next time you're going to press on render, you don't want it to start at the first container again. So you just have to change that from value to 5, and it's going to start to use that 5th container. Okay, so this being done, now I'm going to go to my script parameter. So one thing I'm going to do at the very beginning, I'm just want to add change the color of the creation, okay, of my node. So I'm gonna put here on created callback. I'm gonna switch this from HScript to Python, and I'm going to type just quirks, and I'm gonna grab the node. Okay, so that will return me the node I'm creating, and I'm gonna type set color. And then I'm going to use an object from type whoColor, and I don't remember the color, so let me just quickly come here. No, where I think it was here. I think, yeah. So this one, I want to get that color, and I remember writing it here. So I'm just going to copy my color values here. Okay, actually let's just copy the entire line. So paste and apply. So next time I'm going to create it, okay, it's going to be this that purple color. And now I'm going to add here a Python module. Okay, and now here I'm going to type a function that's going to be get called when I click on the render button. So I'm going to call it def render, and yeah, just put node. So that's going to be itself. No, I'm not going to do it like this. I'm just going to do def render, and node is equal to who.pwd. Okay. So once the node has been created, we can get access to it by using the pwd function. At the creation frame, unfortunately, that doesn't work, because when that callback gets called, it's before we have access to it through this function. So that's why in here we had to use the coordinate nodes. Okay, but in that case, I'm going to use just the function who.pwd. Then I'm going to do store the maximum value inside a variable called max, and it's going to be that node dot eval parm, and we called it max. Then I'm gonna grab the node, okay, from the soft path. So this one is gonna be sup is equal to who dot node, and here it's gonna be node dot eval parm. And let me just check how this one was called, and subpath. Okay, so subpath, just checking the max was really max. Yes. Okay. That's okay. And now I'm gonna go create my for loop where I'm gonna run all my sims. So for n in range node dot eval parm, and I'm gonna get the from parameter to max. Oh, you know what? Just be consistent. I'm gonna get I'm gonna call it min. Min is equal to node from. Okay, and now I'm gonna do node dot set parm, so that lets me set parameters. Okay, a set parm with s, sorry, and I'm gonna have to put it dictionary in there. So I want to change the current parameter, and I'm gonna give it a value of n. Okay, so this, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna force this node, this sub, okay, that we're gonna call here to cook. We will see in a second why I'm gonna do that. So sub.cook, and finally what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do who.parm, and here I'm gonna type node.path plus inside a string geo. Did I still call it? Let's call this one, rename it to geo. Okay, or I'm gonna call it sim. So sim, and then execute. So this execute parameter is actually the random bottom here. Okay, so we can see it's written execute, and now we have a function available that's called press bottom. So this, when I call that function, it's gonna press that button for me. Okay, and just one more thing. No, I mean, yeah, let's just add it there, but you could just comment it if you don't need it. So I'm just gonna put the print n. Okay, so like this I know exactly what node I'm simming. That's just if you need it to debug. If you don't need it, just comment it. Okay, so for now I'm gonna comment it, but I'm leaving it there if you need to print out the number for you. Okay, so I'm gonna apply. So now I'm gonna go back up and I'm gonna try it. Okay, so to give it a try, what I'm gonna do first, I'm going to go up inside my source setup and I'm gonna add a temporary node. So I'm just gonna come here and I'm gonna put a null and just call this test. Okay, so instead of running my sims, I'm gonna call this one for now. So if I come here, I grab myself path, so source setup, and just grab the test one. Okay, and I'm gonna set an output here, so I'm gonna go up geo, and let me just find the cache I was using. Okay, I'm gonna take this one and I'm just gonna change here a few things. So instead of 0 here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna inside, I'm gonna use backdates, and in there I'm gonna put ch current. Okay, so that's gonna return the number I have in here. So if I made a mouse on it and I go to the end, I see it's 0 and now it should be 4. Okay, so it's 4, so that's fine. What I'm gonna do now, so from I leave it there, here I'm gonna just grab my setup source here, and what I will need to grab is, so actually is here, so actually let me put just a null here in between, and I'm gonna call this num source is, I'm gonna right click here, edit path as text, copy, and then turn that back and put in here. So max is gonna be n prim, so that's gonna return me the number of prints. So I'm gonna paste now my path and go num sources. So now if I click on it, I see I have 51 primitives. Okay, so spheres. So that's the maximum I want to go. I don't want to go further than that. One more thing I have to do, I'm gonna right click on current, copy parameter, and I'm gonna go down here on the delete. Okay, and here on the num, I want to change this through my IOTL, so I'm gonna right click on it, paste, copy relative references. Okay, so if I go up here, oops, let me go back here, and I would say current is 5. Now we see num here is 5. Okay, So that's gonna update it for me. And yeah, while we were cooking inside our script, it just, I want to make sure that my SOP gets cooked properly, you know, and it deletes the proper sphere. So this seems to be good. So I think we're ready for a test. So attack, we go for the test, so it's going to write our sim. So if I press now, oh no, I forgot something, sorry about that. So let me bring that up. So we have a Python module. So if I go back to parameters, actually no, first to basic, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click no, I'm gonna leave it as locked actually. I don't think it's necessary to unlock it. So back to parameters, render bottom. Here I'm gonna change the callback script to Python, and I'm gonna type who dot hdm, if I'm not wrong, dot render, and apply, and let's see if that works. No, it's not HDM. Just because that's we have a shortcut. Because I could just write it who dot pwd dot hda module. Okay, so that's the long way to write it. But we have a shortcut. Oh, actually, I think it's phm. Yeah, there we go. So now it's caching out here. Okay. So we can see it's running through my 50 one sources. So I'm just gonna let it do all of them. Okay, so it just finished. So now if I open here my files, I should see 51 sequences. Okay, 0 going to 50, so 51 sequences. So that seems to be working. So now let's just set that up so we're going to be able to load all those caches back. So I'm just going to press accept. So I'm going to here bring a new geo. And I'm going to call this one Pyroclastic flow render, and I'm just going to go quickly in here, and I'm going to copy that expression. Okay, so now I get rid of that file sub, and I'm going to put a for each, and now I'm going to switch this to each number, and range, it's going to go from 0 to that expression. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to dive in there. It's erroring. So we're going to... Why is it actually erroring? So each number should be working. Okay, let's go in there for now. Just put a file. So, and in that file, I'm gonna get here and grab first one here. Okay. And I'm just gonna change one thing. Instead of the 0 here, I'm gonna use a stamp expression. So stamp, and I'm gonna grab the each node. Okay, so to do that, just the double point works because it's gonna try to find the first one, or we could just write it. Okay, so each one, if we want to be sure it's going to find the proper node. Then in here, I'm going to grab now the 4idx value. So this is going to return me the number in which iteration we are. Okay. So 4idx value, then 0. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add finally a volume mix. And I'm just going to multiply it here by 2.5. And if I go up, okay, that might not work now because we're just using spheres. But anyway, hold on. So this is not erroring anymore. But I should be able to okay, 52 spheres. So something's, it's correct. We have 52 spheres, but I think something else. So okay, the viewport broke again. So let's bring a new scene view. Alt Y G W point number. Yeah, they're all overlapping. Okay, so something here didn't work. So let's see what went wrong. So if I go in my ROP here, I'm gonna right click on it, type properties, go to script, Python module. I'm gonna print now, not this one, but node.eval parm and current. I want to make sure that it updated the value. Okay. It seems to be updating it because it shows me 50 here. Now that seems to be working. Okay, let's go here. That seems to be correct as well. So let's just, for 1 second, copy paste this one. Delete it. Okay, hold on. So great viewport. Okay, so I got all my spheres. Okay, that seems to be working. So this seems to be updated as well. So why? I'm gonna try one more thing here. Maybe the 4idx value that didn't work wouldn't be the first time that the expression doesn't work in the for each. That's something that happens. I'm pretty sure if I would just change this to 10, that's what's going to happen here. Yeah, it's loading only the 10th. Okay. So I'm gonna bring back this to 0. So in the stamp expression, that number at the end, it's the default value it's gonna return if that doesn't work. So let's go do this. Okay, so now I'm getting an error. So it says 551 doesn't work, so that might be the reason why it was erroring before. Oh yeah, right. Okay, my bad. So because we started at 0 and not 1, what I will have to do here at the very end is just add -1. Okay, that's better. So now here we have all those spheres moving, okay? So the for each worked. So that's good. Now here I'm just gonna put a null and call this one render. And this it's load caches. Now I'm gonna put it back to the volume mix just to make sure that works, and just put a null and call it out. Okay, so that seems to be working. So this would let us to render it, okay? Just imagining that would be at the end your sims. So to get your sims running now in here, instead of pointing to a test node, go back to the first frame, you can now grab here to your Pyroclastic flow. So you can choose get your up-res or your low-res version, okay? So if I would just try this, I'm just gonna sim like 20 frames, okay? So that's gonna be faster. And let me just sim a couple of those. So let's just see what we got here. So why am I still looking? Okay, that's fine. So like I said, we have only 20 frames, but as we can see now it's loading all the caches, okay? And go back one frame, okay. And that's the idea, okay, to generate everything. So you could just play around once you're done with this. Maybe, I don't know how that gap will be later down, but yeah, just play around with it. You might gonna have to adjust a little bit. One more thing that just crossed my mind regarding the up-res. So one thing we did an update is here in simulation. So it's not looking at a correct node. Okay, so here we should put out low-res sim. Okay, I just forgot to do this earlier when we set up the up-res. So don't forget to point to the proper node, because otherwise it's not going to apply any of these operations. And if you would have saved out some preview files, it wouldn't save them at all, because it would just load your import pyro field. Okay. So one last thing. Now what I would like to do is just change the start frame of my Pyroclastic flow sim. Okay. I'm gonna just get that start frame attribute we had on our source setup. Okay, so just make sure, okay, this one doesn't have, so I'm just gonna copy quickly there my attribute create and paste it here to make sure it doesn't break. Okay, so this one has a value of 1. Now whatever input I choose on my switch, it's still gonna have that attribute, and I'm just gonna point it to my output here. We're always gonna have only 1 point, okay? Even if I go on the second one here, we still have only 1 point, so that's fine. So if I go here and I just go inside my start frame parameter and type point, and now I'm looking at my source setup out node. I'm gonna grab the first point, so 0. There's only one anyway. And then the attribute name is gonna be start frame, and then 0 to get the first index. Anyway, there's only one value, it's not a vector, so 0 is gonna be anyway. And now if I type enter, I can see it's gonna give me 100. So if I go just down here and look here what we have on the detail view, you can see start frame 100. If I switch it now to my simple sphere, it's going to be start frame 1. If now I'm going to check it, start frame 1. Okay, perfect. So like this, now when we're going to run our sims from here, it's going to update this one as well. So we don't have to sim like 100 frames if my sim would start only at frame 100. It's just going to save us a lot of time as well. Okay, so that was it for this week. So I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm really looking forward for what you're going to get as sims. So feel free to add some other elements in there to interact with if you want. And yeah, see you next week.